Hit him with your jingle.
Greetings, fellow Earthlings.
That's not your jingle.
Do. Welcome back to another episode of Heart and Hustle, where we still do not have a jingle, but I like it.
That is the jingle.
Do. I like it.
All right, so today we're going to talk about business conspiracy theories. Some of these are going to be conspiracies to some people, and some of them are going to be, people do that all the time to those who think like me.
Yeah. And like even one or two of them I think I have are just like kind of rooted in like psychology and marketing. But I think this is something that a lot of consumers won't see from like the business perspective. So
again, some are going to probably sound obvious, and some of them are going to be, I guess I never looked at it like that, but then some are experiences, some are, does this really happen? And some of these are, thanks for informing me.
we might think of some on the fly. So I feel like you've been wanting to do this episode specifically because you like to get into, especially when it comes to the brick and mortar, when you were able to see like how things were ran, you're like, wait, this isn't quite right. I don't agree with this. And you used to just kind of like passionately, secretly go off about them.
So I'll just kick it off with an obvious one, right? So like scare tactics for market performance pricing. And what that means is a company will magically, if they put their earnings reports in and they're lacking in a certain area, or they want to do better to appease their shareholders, they'll bait the news and put it out on all platforms to make it seem like they're either doing something great or they're hurting in an area, but they won't make it seem like they're hurting in an area, but they'll frame it to make you, they'll hone in on your emotion basically. And then they'll either raise the price of something or they'll drop it because they got such a good deal, or they're overweight on something. But either way, rather than have a blowout sale if they drop the price, they now hooked you to buy it and they were fine all along. Or they've hooked you emotionally and now they raise the price on something else because they made it seem like there's a shortage. I personally believe since COVID, so many companies fabricate production shortages to raise prices and scare tactics to get people to spend more money on something.
Yeah, I've noticed it, especially since COVID, because I think that's when it really was thrown in our face like no other. And then we were able to like peel back the curtain and see what was actually happening. Yeah, totally agree with that. And does that tie into also the same with like, because we are in Florida and we have hurricanes almost yearly. And when a hurricane is coming, it's kind of like the same thing. Like it's like the scarcity of all these products where there absolutely is an abundance of. But when you create that scarcity, plus you have the emotion of the natural disaster coming, it's like, of course, everybody's going to go buy the toilet paper that we're never, ever, ever going to run out of. But because you have everybody thinking, you may never have a chance to get this again. And if you die in a hurricane...
Water's the biggest thing that pisses me off.
It does.
Okay? Because here's the problem with water. Unless you live on a well, your water does not go out if your power goes out during a hurricane or a power outage. Your hot water might not work because you need the electricity, therefore, to run everything, but the actual water will not go out. So the people who use the excuse of, well, what am I going to brush my teeth with and all this and all that, like, your water runs. Have you ever literally tried to turn your water on or turn it on, however your faucet works, while the power's out? It still works. And if it doesn't, my man, my woman, whatever you are, you need to call somebody because your water should not go out because your electricity goes out. It just doesn't happen. It's never happened in all of my years, and I've lived in some of the dingiest places and some of the nicest places, and not once has my water went out. So water is the biggest scam. But to that point about the news and everything, people don't realize how many companies, billionaires, have their hands in that have ties with the news.
Hello.
And again, that's what I was saying about they drop a story to them for so many reasons.
Yeah. And that goes back to, just psychology and public relations, but like any publicity is good publicity. So if and people understand that at a really high level. So no matter how they're getting their name out there, no matter what the story necessarily is or how they have to manipulate it to be in the news, the fact that their product or their company is being talked about, whether they spin it as good, bad, scarcity, whatever, indifferent, like the publicity and the emotion behind whatever they're able to have the publicity about is going to drive sales, and it always does.
And it's all about sales. And like I said in the last podcast episode, rich people don't think they're better than you. They think better than you. And again, if you fall for it, which we all have, yes, we're gullible, but they're not taking advantage over anything different than anybody who's ever been in sales. It does. Which brings me to my next conspiracy, which is not a conspiracy. I'm telling you right now, it's the fact. If you work in sales, you know exactly what this means if you have commissions. Not only do salespeople, but companies sandbag sales or products, and I'll split this up for better numbers next time. What I mean by that is in corporate America, if you're in sales or if, dealerships, whatever, if you've already hit your bonus, some salesmen and women and people are so good at what they do, companies try to punish you for making too many sales for your commission. So now what they have turned to do, and this has been a few years now, is they'll have an escalator for your bonus, right? So before, if you got a $5,000 commission check just because you hit, let's just say 25 grand or 40 grand in sales, right? Okay, that's cool. Now what they do is if you hit 40 grand in sales, to get an extra $1,000, you get $1,000 for the next 20,000 you hit. So it doesn't matter. So there's no scale like it was from 1,000 to 40,000, and then your bonus check goes off of that. It's now just simply like, okay, you've hit the max bonus that you can get. Now you get taxed on all your commission even harder. You're not getting as high of a percentage of the sale for your commission from sales $40,001 to $60,000. You're going to make the same amount of money. So what people will do is they're like, oh, okay, so I've pretty much hit this. I don't know if I'm going to hit another 20K. So if it's towards the end of the month, they'll talk to their client and say, hey, I might be going on vacation this week, and they'll make something up, or they'll just tell them the truth and say, I'll get you on the first of the month or the third to not make it seem so obvious. So now that $10,000 to $20,000 buffer that they would have had to put in, they already got that sale lined up, and they're halfway to meeting that $5,000 commission check again.
Yeah.
So they do that people do that all the time. And now I don't feel bad because companies wanted to do that to salespeople. They wanted to sit there and punish the good salespeople and say, oh, it's easy for you to get to $40,000. Okay, well, now from $40,001 to $60,000, you can only earn $1,000 extra dollars in commissions, but you have to put in a lot of work and make a decent amount of sales to get that $20,000 bonus or $20,000 extra dollars in sales for the company. No, I would rather wait.
Yeah. So just ensuring that you're making like the max amount of money for the company, but they're only paying you out as minimal as possible because they don't want to obviously.
They'll pay you in dimes to start your commission until you hit the max, and then they're going to pay you pennies. Oof. Why would you work twice as hard?
And then they wonder
why. You literally have to work twice as hard. If you wanted to make $10,000 in commission based on the current scale, now some companies just cap you flat out and you can't do that. But if you wanted to make $10,000 in commission, in a lot of companies, this isn't every company, so I'll be on the record there. But if you wanted to make 10,000, you would think to make 5 to 10, it's like, oh, okay, I worked. No. To get that extra $5,000, the same 5, you have to work probably 5 times as hard to get that accelerator based on the structure that they take out based on your percentage.
And then people wonder why the A players are always the ones that burn out because they're working extra hard and making extra profit for whoever they're working for, but it's not.
They're the least likely to get fired, though, because their numbers are always good. So they'll get away with a little bit of things that they shouldn't.
They're the least likely to get fired, but hopefully, I think the problem is with high achievers too, especially because as a coach, you can see the larger picture, but like when you're in it and you're the high achiever in that position, like all you see is go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. And that's all you're thinking about. So you don't even maybe realize what you're saying, that like they're working extra hard for extra little blah, blah, or like, you know, they're getting paid out the same amount as Timmy, who's not as good as them. And they're having to carry the weight of the whole team. And because they don't see that, they actually like, maybe now's the time to make those decisions to, I don't know, talk to your boss about this structure, or, you know, maybe it's time to go out on your own because you've probably learned all you could in this role. And
There's a lot of trades that you see that
where
they go on their own. A lot of trades.
I think people are starting to realize now.
I mean, there are some it's a lot harder, like
Sure.
auto industry, cell phone industry, as far as like selling phones. Like it's
to stay in that specific industry,
saying.
maybe.
Some
But
of those
once
are
you
hard.
learn so all sales and business, all this is, it's like personal development, psychology, marketing. Like once you understand the basics of, especially if you're good at sales, that means you understand the psychology about how to have a conversation around whatever you're talking about and how to manipulate or convince people up or downward. You know what I mean? So like you can take that skill set and do anything with it. And if your current company that you're working for is capping you out, which is just going to run you into the ground, be super frustrating, like that sounds like the most frustrating thing in the world. I think a lot of people are now realizing that they can take that skill set and maybe do something more about it, because you are, especially when it's like a big company, like, I don't know, I can't think of an example, but like Apple or something, like a really big, like powerhouse company where obviously people are super excited and proud to work for that company. And I don't know if Apple's structured this way. I don't know. This is not my wheelhouse. But, you know, when you work that hard to achieve that goal and you are just such a high achiever and all you're really thinking about is like the next thing to do and how to get better numbers and how to hit that next benchmark and just how to be better and better, like that is exactly why you get burnt out when you don't have that same pay structure that is allowing for that maximum growth, that like not just for the company, but for you to take home to your family as well. There's actually a local, a really big, I guess he's an influencer as well, but he's right out of Tampa. He owns an insurance company. And one of the first MLMs, actually, this is like the third MLM that I was in. When I first met you, I was in a travel company, and I loved that travel company. I loved everything about it. I didn't actively want to sell. I didn't sell it. I didn't even try. So I can't even say I was bad at it, because I don't agree with MLMs, but they usually have really good products. Like behind it makes sense. Anyway, when that MLM company dissolved, like just recently, I saw a lot of people were selling insurance that were like on my team, and they work for this guy. I think his name's Eric or something. But how he structured, so he took the MLM people and vibe, because they understand sales and psychology and all these things they were doing really well, but they were in a company that capped them and eventually ended up dissolving. He created an insurance company, or he already had one. I'm not sure of his background, but his main thing is he doesn't do that capping pay structure. Like they own, I don't know how this works. They own their own clients. They own their own whatever. He must just get a piece of the pie. I know he provides like the really good leads and stuff, but his whole structure is that like you don't hit a certain tier and get less. You get to own the people you bring in and basically build your own company under like his umbrella or however he structures it. But like that's his main sellers, because other insurance companies, because there's a lot of money in selling insurance. I know plenty of people who do it and they make good money. And I'm assuming they're with a company who they have like that certain structure. He doesn't run his that way. He makes sure you kind of own your own. There's no ceiling. There's no cap. You get paid for exactly how hard you work. And I think that's very unique and specific. But a business like that is only born out of seeing the holes in the insurance company already, which is having the structure that you were just saying to cap like your top salespeople.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. Like to be innovative, you know, when you see a gap in the market or something you don't agree with, one, you have to have the wherewithal to understand that like, okay, I can make a decision, do something different. And this guy clearly built a company that has the structure differently. So he's not burning out his A players. They're gonna uncap his business as well, because they're going to work extra hard for him, because they get paid directly related to how hard and how well they do in his business. And there's no weird structural stuff. So I like that. And I like the fact that he saw the gap in that market and he said, we're going to do it differently and I'm going to make my people happy. And we're all just going to go to the moon instead of making you all push me to the moon. So,
I mean, that model works independently.
Sure.
I don't know if it can work on a grand scale.
I don't know
just
either.
because he doesn't have shareholders.
I don't know
right?
the answer to that, but I'm sure.
I
And he's not like, it's not like he is the Apple of, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
sure.
they're
Yeah,
completely
no.
different structures.
Yeah, it's just his own practice.
Yeah.
Another example of, business conspiracies is a good one is, IHOp was struggling, right? They were struggling to maintain business. And so for I think Cracker Barrel was too, because this is most recent as well. When IHOP changed it to International House of Burgers and they went IHOb, what happened?
I think we revolted. We were
everybody, no, but everybody went nuts. They're just like, what, this, that. And the only thing anybody talked about for a week was this change. And then what happened? They said, oh, just kidding. We're the International House of Pancakes. Now they serve burgers. They changed their menu. They did the whole thing, but they drove traffic to the restaurant just because people probably wanted to see what this was.
Wait, that's hilarious. I completely forgot about that till just now.
And then Cracker Barrel, not too long ago with the changing of the logo, Cracker Barrel's earnings reports, based on their projections and stuff like that, they weren't doing so hot.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of that was driven by political stances or whatever. But what did they do? They sat there and then they immediately wanted to, they changed their name, or no, the logo, right? And it was,
I don't remember.
they took the, I don't know what his name was,
logo.
but they took the guy out of it and the rocking chair. And so everybody revolted, this is dumb, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And then 2 weeks later, they're based on feedback, we're not going to change our logo. And it's just you were never going to change your logo.
But nobody's talked about them in decades. And then all of a
nobody's
sudden
talked about them since they said, just kidding, we're not going to change our logo.
Oh, true.
But that 2 weeks did what? They probably gathered a lot of customer farming with credit card checkouts. They probably got infinite publicity. And, you got a lot of people in there who disagreed with your logo the whole time. And we're like, yes, now I can go there because you stand for what I stand for, just to get you in the door. Because some people might have never gone there because of the logo. And they're like, well, you need to try our food. And then guess what? There's still a percentage of people that are now, again, unhappy that they tricked you with the logo situation. But you might be like, oh, but I really like their food. So then they go back. And it's is it a conspiracy or is that a tactic in sales that we talked about? Me personally, both.
I think all of these are a fine line between conspiracy and a tactic in sales. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, sales is...
Well, the conspiracy would be the reason behind.
Sure, okay.
Their reason, the reason why it's a conspiracy to me is they said they wanted to change it for a logo or
and
for
you
the
think
better.
They didn't want to
I don't think they wanted to change it at all.
Gotcha.
I think they were just trying to lure you in based on a sales tactic.
I'm not mad at it because, again...
Just like IHOp. IHOP was never going to, go in bankruptcy.
Right. Yeah. And again, that goes back to all publicity is kind of good publicity. If you get people talking about you, good, bad, and different, you are on the forefront of people's minds. And that is the whole point of marketing and sales, essentially.
Pick a big brand, and I want to try and figure out if I can pick a conspiracy that what I can think is a conspiracy that I can relate to.
Let's do a fast food chain because I feel like that's relatable to everybody. It's Burger King.
IHOP. Cracker. I mean, those are fast casual, I guess. All right, go ahead.
That's all I can think of.
Burger King.
Burger King.
Did they ever really want to get rid of the grill? The flame broil with the burger? For many years, or all their years, they did
that was their whole
shtick. Was it tasted like it was on a
That's
grill.
Why I didn't like them, because I don't like grills. Seriously, I don't want to taste the grill.
Then they went to a flat top, and it's sure, they probably did, but what did that do? It created buzz.
Yeah.
It just...
That's true. Can you think of a clothing store brand or something out of the food world that maybe... Or what about
so that new place in the mall?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
That's the... what is it, Future Trends or Legend Trends or something like that?
I don't know. Trendy Trends. So Forever 21 is the store that closed. And I believe they closed nationwide. I think they were even... Oh, that's one, actually. Forever 21. Let's even not go the next step. Forever 21, they had this big thing, closing nationwide, blah, blah, blah. All their stores were closing down, all these sales. Even their online store was closing down. But then all of a sudden, I think they just rebranded, and then they honestly didn't even change any of their stuff. They were bringing back all the like 90s trendy stuff, but that's what every store is doing right now. But I'm pretty sure if I go to Forever 21, they are absolutely just they still have a clean out sale. They're not actually closing. That's one.
They could be closing a lot of desks or a lot of locations though. But when it comes to competitors like that, I always believe in a conspiracy that there's a backdoor deal.
Yeah.
Between the two.
Yeah.
Like a shareholder swap
so
in order to obtain either their lease. Because Forever 21 was in their spots for a long time.
So let me finish explaining then that'll make sense. So Forever 21 was in our mall. I think they closed down other malls as well. They closed down, and then very quickly a new store that looks exactly like Forever 21. It's called Trends or something.
I think it's Future
by
Trends
Charlotte
or something.
Future Trends maybe, but it's by Charlotte Russe.
Yeah.
So it's which Charlotte Russe is very similar to Forever 21.
Out of the limelight forever.
Forever. Irrelevant. And now all of a sudden they have this like sister company of Charlotte Russe, which has the same exact clothes or style and all that.
And it's like
Forever 21.
It's like Forever 21 meets streetwear. And that's what the company is.
So you're saying backdoor on the back end, there was clearly some type of collab or deal or whatever that may have looked like, which this does happen in business. I don't know if it did happen between these two specific stores, but like that's what that conspiracy would look like, is like the kickback made sense and it wasn't just Forever 21 going out of business.
Yeah, could it be subleasing? Could they have the same similar designers? Now they're not the same company. They're not owned by the same parent company. They're not a sister company. But that, that's something you see all the time where people swap. I mean, people think Apple and Google are just two conglomerates that hate each other, but it's like if you knew how much they actually work together on the back end for certain things of like parts and ideas, like you'd be blown away. Like the two CEOs don't get in a room and then they're just like old Western style wait to draw their gun. Like no, they sit at the table, they shake hands, and they talk about future innovations to what they can without spoiling what they have to develop.
Totally.
Right? So,
and that's the same thought of like the people at the bottom are competing and the people at the top are collabing. But the people, and I don't want to say like bottom and top because like y'all ain't no like bottom. That's not what I'm saying. But like we're clearly not the CEOs of Google and Apple and like, all those things. But like those people are absolutely collaborating, and even like people under them. But if you're looking at it from your perspective in life, which is everybody's down, like looking at things as a competition, even though they're collabing up there, you're assuming that they're competing because that's what you'd be doing in their position.
Right. You act like they don't have representatives in the same room when they're talking to, when they're going to like an AI meeting.
Right.
Or there's like this new great next big thing, like tech wise, that they're not in the same room. And then what you think they're going to talk within their parameters, right? Obviously they're going to be fishing to try and get something out of their competitor. But speaking of a conspiracy there that just popped in my head was when Apple dropped their announcement for their phone, Google dropped something specific. And I think that's both. I think number one, it was a sales tactic and like a dig at the same time. But also their phones have not been performing.
Apple or Google?
Google's has not been performing as well as they want. And I don't care what anybody says. Now I have the new iPhone, right? I'm an Apple guy. It makes my life easier. Everything is tied to Apple. Like my businesses all use Apple products. So just to switch over, like even if you weren't Apple and you wanted to be Apple in your business, that to switch over all the back end and the servers and all that other stuff, it's such a nightmare if you're not using outsourced things. So like if you're using the iCloud or if you're using Google's, the name's escaping me right now, but if you're using theirs or Microsoft's or whatever, like it's a very difficult transition depending on the size of your company. But they dropped that and their phones just haven't been performing to their standards. I'm not saying they're losing money, but they're not Apple. Mm-hmm. And the thing that most people don't understand with Apple and versus Samsung phones, to tie them into it is, or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Google. It was Samsung that dropped the dig when the iPhone announced. I'm sorry, I apologize. It was Samsung.
I'm not up on this, so I wish I could
help you out. So they
just
dropped something, but Samsung's phones are the phones that have not been performing to their likeness as far as sales go, right? So to me, it's funny that everybody who owns like the Galaxy S, whatever number they're on right now, they'll always sit there and go, "Oh, the iPhone's garbage. Why don't you just have this?" or blah blah blah. And it's like the only people, like most educated Apple users, aren't going to sit there and say your Samsung's garbage and can try to convince you why you should have an Apple device.
Yeah.
It's actually everybody else who does. So it's like you're more mad that they don't want to have what you have versus be different from you and get what they want to their likeness. Okay? Like, again, for me, it's just the simplicity of it. I don't need all these bonus features that a Samsung phone can do that an Apple phone does. And I'm not the first. I'm not going to sit there and be in line and say, oh, my phone has been doing that for years. And my phone can do this, and I don't need to customize my iPhone.
I barely use the features of my phone. I use like 10 things, and those are the things I use across all platforms and phones and devices anyway. So,
and you know what?
To me, I don't care.
Here's a proven conspiracy: is every single phone manufacturer company out there purposely deflates their current model at some point to force you to upgrade.
That's what I was going to bring up next.
It just happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like I said this years ago when Apple did it and everybody thought I was crazy.
No, I think.
And then they got busted with their battery. And this might have been.
I feel like we all were saying that and the media or whatever was telling us we were crazy. I feel like all collectively we knew that our phones were randomly
they finally got a massive lawsuit.
Did they? Well, good, because
not like
my
recently,
phone always
years ago.
My phone always goes out right before the next drop, and it's like I've literally had Apple products for 20 years now. Like at some point, it's not all a coincidence. It's been every single time. Like if I was switching and all this stuff, that'd be one thing. But I've been loyal to Apple since I could first have a device, and this has happened for every single one across the board.
And you talk about the power of branding, and that's the thing. And that's what people with, Samsung and Androids and Googles and all that stuff, they don't understand is the people that have the devices, most of them with Apple don't care what the competitor has to offer. If it's not broken for you, why do you need to try something else? I mean, not for nothing, your device isn't going to be worth as much money 2 years or a year after down the road. Apple's products are one of the only products that maintain like a high value for resale after it's done. And a lot of that has to do with probably the App Store specifically.
Really?
Well, they actually vet all of their apps. Now, granted, most of their, almost a lot of their good apps you have to pay for. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of apps on the Android App Store, it's all junk. It's filled with malware. It's filled with viruses. They don't vet anything. Like, yeah, you have to pay for some apps too, of course, but your average app on the Android marketplace is trash. There's no vetting. It's just like me and you can make an app, and the screening process to get through on the Android marketplace is a fraction of what it would be like for Apple.
Well, I hate that because I know that's I'm not really into tech and I don't really care that much. But one of the reasons that I've always been with Apple is because my pappy taught me, like, back in the day that like they had their own coding or whatever to where like other viruses and all that couldn't just like break into it or whatever.
Yeah,
like
and obviously they're hackable, but
yeah.
it's a lot hard. That's why they tell you like stay on Safari, don't download Google Chrome on your.
But the protections of Apple were always better, and
as
like
long
it was
as you're
harder to
using
get in.
Apple's softwares and Apple's applications on an Apple device, it is significantly harder to penetrate than any other device.
I love that, but we can say that they purposely
absolutely
design their products to fail.
Conspiracy.
Yeah. All these are really kind of, I feel like, kind of proven. Okay, what do you also think? I feel like I've heard you talk about this, but like oil companies raising gas prices and stuff like before the holidays and like around election times and stuff like that. Then just to like drop them or whatever for like to look good or for the PR or to get people talking about it. Like, what do you think about that realm of crap?
As a consumer, I don't like it because I'm also like a people person, right? Like, you're doing this at times where people are spending the most amount of money that they're going to spend throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And you're going to raise the price on them to travel for Easter, you're going to raise the money to travel during summer. You're going to raise the money to travel during Thanksgiving, and you're going to raise the money to travel during Christmas, right? And it's a wild tactic.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people traveling that I feel like it's wrong.
And especially because that's a necessity. I mean, I guess we could walk technically for the people who are going to comment that. But like fuel, and that's what we talked about in the last episode, like whether it goes up a few cents or not, like it's something you're going to buy. So kind of just like at the end of the day, you're going to shut up and buy it because what's the alternative?
No, like I said in the previous episodes, like if a gas goes up 30 cents a gallon and let's just round it to your 10 gallon tank, like sure, it went up, $3, but so what? It went up $3. Now,
But because we're talking about it, like it went up astronomically.
Right. But again, even though it's only $3, doing it only at those holiday times, I think it's just terrible. It's not good to do to people.
Yeah.
I'm against that. And so many people think that all the prices went up. And I get things go up during the holiday season because there's so much in transit for shipping. But I'm a conspiracy theorist and think that you already had that stuff banked.
Exactly.
And that's where my conspiracy is why. Prove to me you don't already have those barrels of oil, knowing that the price to ship it in is going to go up. Prove to me you're not using current budgeting to buy more supply just so you can make more off that lower cost supply. Prove to me that you're not doing this on anything other than just being greed. Like,
right.
Prove it. I guarantee you can't. Because these people, again, rich people think better than you. So if I'm not in that bracket currently of being a billionaire and I'm owning this oil company or I'm owning this gas company and I'm all this, why would I not? You're mean to tell me if I can sit there and think of this, somebody at that level isn't thinking to buy, we need to buy way more boatloads of oil right now.
Yeah. No,
and
they
then
definitely
have
are.
it there for like an extra 2 months and then we'll jack up and guess what? We'll make an extra like 40 cents a gallon. And it's like, you think that's not happening?
And I don't even know that it's just, I mean, this ties in, but like that rich people think better than you, but like they understand humans and psychology. I feel like everything comes back to, and that's why I feel like a lot of people in my world, especially because I love to dabble in the more spiritual side of entrepreneurship. And basically business is a big personal development game. It's a big spirituality game. It's a big like you versus you game. And like all of that comes down to the more you understand people, the more you understand their mind, the more you understand how to manipulate things. And like the more, it's so hard to use the word woke because now that has had a totally different meaning, which has a lot of negative connotations. But once you have these new awarenesses of the world, which you do as you grow, like this is all, that's why they say it's a personal development game. And as you're mastering yourself, you're seeing the world through a different lens because you're like unlocking layers of yourself, which in turn unlocks layers of awareness in the world. And I can look at my partner differently. I can look at other businesses differently. So like as you become a huge business and you're that big, their awareness of things is just so much different than the average person because they've gone through just such a deeper personal development, spiritual. Even if you just got thrown into that position, there's no way you can sustain it if you are not aware of all of these different things that the average person is. So like we might be kind of going through the spiritual journey more from like the ground up because that's just where our souls were kind of like born. But other people are born into like these amazing positions, but don't mistake that they don't have to go through their own whatever version of their spiritual personal development journey in order to see all of these different things from that perspective. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So like, yes, people that have these big oil companies and stuff, like if we're thinking of these ways that they could be very well prepared and you know what I mean, thinking of like the marketing and psychology to be able to come out in front of, buying the oil or however they get it in time and then like raising the gas prices, like they absolutely are well ahead of the curve because their awareness is just that much more than even like what we can probably fathom in this conversation because we're just not quite there yet.
Well, that's why I think it is thinking better.
Yeah, Yeah, I was just giving another way.
There's a way of like I think different and think better are two different things.
Yeah,
I would say thinking differently would be relating to more of an opinion, and then thinking better is just how do you level up?
Yeah.
Right. So
did I say different instead of better?
I mean,
I just think it's more of a higher awareness.
More about being thinking different.
I think it's a higher awareness.
But
yeah.
But you have to, as you were saying, you have to tread it to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what ties into that though, I've always feel the most successful companies that are going to maintain longevity are going to be the ones that have people in positions that go down to the bottom floor and talk to the factory workers and ask them questions and opinions based on the products that they're producing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the overall best feedback you can have.
Well, yeah, because when you get too big, you get out of touch.
Asking the general public what it is one thing, because then a lot of big companies are like, oh, it's a bunch of crybabies. You can't appease everybody. And I agree. You're never going to appease everybody at all at the same time with one thing. It's never going to happen no matter what you put out. We're just too diverse of a society.
Yeah.
But if you're only, and this is my big thing, and I've said this for years, the smartest people in the world are often the dumbest people in the world. And sometimes the dumbest people in the world are often the most clever people in the world.
Yeah.
And that ties into what I just said about if you take someone and because they have, you see this all the time in companies. For instance, my track record of a business owner from the ground floor, day to day, customer service and adapting and all that stuff with people outweighs almost any relation that a CEO has on majority of the Fortune 500 companies. But I guarantee you, because they all run this way, and I'm not selling myself short, they would never hire someone like me out the gate without having to work my way up the ladder, because I don't have some overpriced college on my school or on my degree or any kind of application, or B, I have no experience. Which is funny because the guy that turned Red Lobster around, the young black gentleman who turned Red Lobster around, now granted it died out, you don't hear it anymore, but for that big portion, and he's probably still doing well, I don't know. I'm not going to hope for anything but success for him. Imagine if every company took that approach. You have somebody young, somebody who's never had the position. Now granted he had the degree, but at least he didn't hit 2 of the 3 metrics that most companies look for. And it's like, guess what happened? Wow, somebody who's in touch with society came in, changed something, and then for a good short period of time saw a massive influx of interest.
I think it's a really good topic for maybe we'll do our next podcast episode on that, but it's like going back to the basics. And that's a very beautiful representation of that, where like, because when a company gets too big, like Red Lobster did with all the franchises and blah, blah, and then they're forgotten about and there's all these missteps, well, you get really out of touch with why you started the company, how you started the company, the standards they were started on, and even just having that fresh perspective of like somebody on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important to go back to the basics and get back into the customer journey and customer experience and just all those things that are often forgot about as you're scaling and growing companies, because there's so much more to deal with as you grow. But those basics and that foundation also with a fresh perspective, because like we are not, what Red Lobster's probably started in like, I don't know, the 90s or 60s, I don't know, whatever year it was, but like it's
way before the 90s.
I'm so bad with time, I have no idea, but I know it was not anywhere near where we're at now with like these kids are saying 6, 7 and we got AI. Like we're in a totally different world at this point, like with millennials and Gen Z and whatever. So like you have to really have a stronghold in those foundations, but also the fresh perspective of where we're at in the world right now. And that's such like a unique.
That was also one thing that, as big of an a-hole as he was in a lot of people's eyes, that's one thing that Steve Jobs did better than almost any other CEO or company owner. And he was not hesitant to go to the ground floor and talk to his people and say, what's wrong with this? Now, granted, the way he handled that situation was probably not professional majority of the time. But
you get it
he was
done.
not afraid to go and talk to somebody. He might have insulted you because he thought he was superior. But again, he was, but it doesn't make it right the way he talked to people. However, the point was he went knowing he was talking to someone who he didn't feel was smarter than him. Other words, he knew he was smarter than the person he was going to ask a question to. But as he often knew, he hired someone who was clever to get a job done. And what I mean by that is, and this is one of the best things most companies can ever do, and some companies adopted this, Steve Jobs actively hired people who could get the job done the fastest, not the people who can get the job done the most correct. And the reason he did that was because he wanted a product to go from A to the finish line, and then you can find the kinks, rather than spend so much time trying to make something perfect, and now you're behind.
Dang, I want to talk about that more, but I feel like we're getting way off topic. Because that is such a like foundational, important principle of entrepreneurship, and that's something we're not taught in schools. And I feel like I'm really passionate about that because I feel like, I don't know, it's just so important because they say success loves speed. That's what every mentor is going to teach you. Like at the end of the day, you have to get a product or whatever, an idea of whatever it is out there, and then you reiterate it. But in schools and how we grow up and every way that you're taught growing up was you have to work really hard to have this final product out there. And whatever you put out there, that's the way you're getting graded on. So literally we have to undo that wiring in our brain to teach yourself to put something out there as fast as possible and reiterate it as many times as it takes in order to be successful. And that's a really huge, I see that in a lot of entrepreneurs, even in like the business groups I'm in, and every mentor that I follow is like, it's really hard to build the muscle. And this is why Steve Jobs obviously hired people who were good at doing that for him and with him, because he understood the importance of that, is getting something out there immediately and then reiterating it and making it better. But like, if you don't have it out there to have the customer feedback and to see how it could even do in the world or, you know, whatever, then like you're just doing yourself such a disservice by still staying in the mindset of like writing this amazing essay to hand it into your teacher because that you want to get the A+ on it. But like, no, let's race to a D and then race to a C and then race to a B+ so we can race to that A+. And that's going to be a way stronger product than whatever you spent more time on to get that A+ originally. And Steve Jobs is really, really good at he understood that, and he built his companies around that. They moved fast, they got it out quick, and they created monster products because they were able to build off of all of their failures and missteps, which is literally all of entrepreneurship. I love that.
I don't care if that got off topic.
No, me neither. It's
I had to
good.
get that off my chest because it ties into business.
It does. It's good.
So,
but let me get back to conspiracies.
all right, hit me with one more so you can.
So this one's a little more in my wheelhouse. But I don't believe in an algorithm. There's a conspiracy around those that I don't know if I made this up, but like, I believe, first of all, it's ever changing. So anybody who says like they've mastered the algorithm or follow these steps for the blah, 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 like that's not true. What they're actually helping you do is have confidence in what you're delivering or understanding psychology behind what captures people's attention. But it's not like post at this time 3 times a day. And if you do it at this 1 second past this and this before this, like that's not how social media platforms are designed.
Between cheating the algorithm and boosting your chances in the algorithm.
For sure.
And everything's marketed as, I know how to cheat the algorithm.
Yes.
There's no cheating in algorithm.
Because there is no set algorithm.
No,
there are certain factors.
It changes every single day.
Yes. And that's very strategic in order to keep you on the platform, because if anybody mastered the algorithm, like that would be a huge problem for whatever social media platform that is, because then you could just teach people that tactic. But when somebody is teaching you something about like an algorithm, whatever, like at the end of the day, you are the algorithm. This is what a lot of people will teach, because when it's about worthiness, it's about self-confidence, it's about conviction, it's about how much you believe in what you're saying. It's about sometimes how funny you are, how clever you are, how much you can capture attention, like all these different factors. And sometimes you just need 2 or 3 of them. Yeah. And sometimes sometimes controversy is what caused it. Like, there's just so many different factors that nobody can say, like, this is the way, and this is what this platform favors, and this is the way that this.
If you pay attention to whatever social media platform you're on, if you actually pay attention to, if you're scrolling, the repetitiveness of certain things, sometimes they're so blatant and in your face. And then sometimes you need to be smart enough to pick up on why are these videos not necessarily of what I like or what I subscribe to, but they're very similar and they keep popping up. So very much like, again, you can't cheat the system, but you can help boost your chances. Like right now on TikTok, one of the biggest things on a certain side of TikTok is the dough wars between pizza makers.
That's fun. You got me into that.
But it was random. I don't like a single... Italian food would be the closest thing that I like, but I can't go within 5 to 10 scrolls without seeing something. Now, that doesn't mean me and you can just go in the kitchen and then whip up some dough with the same background and then we're going to go and be just as successful as that.
And it also doesn't mean if we all post at 12 p.m. because that's what time they post their post, that
Correct.
It's also going to get over 100,000 likes because that's what they got.
But what I do think that it can mean is if we posted that video into the algorithm that is currently on my channel, then that would mean I probably can get a few extra views and likes out of it because it's pumping out towards what's being shown on my demographic and then the people that are alike. Because that's exactly how an algorithm and ads work. It's typically defaulted to people who subscribe and people similar to them. That's like the default algorithm and ads management.
Yes. Also,
but it doesn't
with
mean you're
that,
going to go viral and just be a megastar.
Right. But along with that, the non-techie side of that and like the more energetic side of that is like, if you wholeheartedly went into that dough making video knowing that that was like your calling, that was the value you were meant to add in the world at that, even if just like little, but like that's what you were supposed to be doing. And because at the end of the day, your magnetism and your aura will portray that in the video.
And
if you're
second
guessing it, and if you're like, oh, well, Joe Doe does this, so maybe I should try to flip the dough, and you have that level of aura.
It's feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even like me, I've literally...
Even if it's through a screen, you feel it. It's just because it's through a screen doesn't mean you don't feel it. If you're walking around someone and you know this person like the back of your hand because they're your partner, they're your best friend or whatever, you can feel energy that somebody's giving off. And if you're recording a video and it doesn't seem like you want to record that video and you're just doing it for any other purpose other than like personal desire and feel,
right. You're not trying to help anybody. This isn't something that's just pouring out of you. It's not something you felt like your body just wanted to do in the moment, but you're specifically doing it because you see it's working for this person. You think it might be able to work for you because this kind of makes sense. And this lady over here said, if you post 3 times a day at these specific hours and you do one trial reel before this, then it's going to go viral. And those are all of your reasons for doing this specific video. That shit's not going to work. And trust me, I do it all the time. That's how I specifically know. I literally have been doing that for 15 plus years. And it's so funny, even like, it's so funny being where I'm at now. I still go through this every single day, despite the fact that I absolutely love video cameras. I love video marketing. I love everything about it. I want to be like famous AF, and I still go through feeling icky sometimes because it feels forced. Because at the end of the day, I know I have to perform or I have to show up even when I don't want to. And again, that's all just like internal mental battle. But when I'm showing up at a time because I know it's the right thing to do and it's what I have to do, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good. And even when it doesn't do good, and when I go back and watch it, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm like, that's not me. Even like now, because I'm obsessed with personal development and growth and all these things, and I'm constantly leveling up. I get really bored if I just like stay the same. So I make sure I don't. And since I'm constantly leveling up, I'll go back and watch a video from 6 months ago, and I'm like, who was that? Like that energy, like I don't believe the same thing she believes in. Like I went through some shit since then.
But also to counterpoint the fact that even if you do it with the whole, back to the whole point of the conspiracy of there's no perfect way to break the algorithm. You could have the best feeling that you've ever had in a video, the actual funniest, the most whatever the case may be, and it still cannot go viral.
Yes. And
it happens all the time. People sit there and say like the one that they try, and by try I mean like because they're doing it effortlessly, they're like, oh, this is going to be my best video ever. I love it. It's so funny. And it has like some traction right away. And then it just dies and doesn't pick up. And then there's a video, what you're probably just going to say is like, you're just like ranting about something wild about, I don't know, a coffee brand you have around
Just
your house.
spilling out of me.
But your authenticity of being annoyed is it. Now, granted, that's not your favorite style of video to make, but then that one goes viral.
Yeah.
And then it confuses you.
One of our first viral videos, it was Milani was a baby. It's the colorblind-glasses video. First of all, everything about this video, it was unplanned. We didn't have time to second guess anything because Travis is very spur of the moment, and you need to start doing this more. By the way, I'm going to publicly call you out because those are what always does the best for us. He'll be like, babe, pull out the camera. Like, I have a good idea. So I pulled out the camera, like not knowing what we were about to do. I just knew we were about to do something funny that came out of his head. And it was this really funny video that he just on the fly came up with. I posted, I was worried about editing. I was newly postpartum. I was like over 200 pounds. So I felt like, after watching it back, not while I recorded it, I felt fine recording it, but I tried to edit it. I'm like doing all these things. So I felt icky about it. I posted that video at like 2 a.m. when I was up during like a midnight feeding. And I was like, F it, I'm just going to post this video. It's at like a few million views at this point.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next day and I didn't expect it to do well because I posted at 2 a.m. Tell me where, and anybody that says anything about an algorithm, they say that 2 a.m. is a sweet spot. It might have even been like 3 a.m. I don't know. But it was definitely the middle of the night when it didn't make sense. But because that video was just so authentic, it was funny. It was you that came fresh out of your head. We didn't have time to second guess it. Like, it was just a beautiful combination of authenticity and something that people wanted to see, apparently.
It was also during COVID.
And it was during COVID. Like, there's so many factors. And
that
algorithm, quote unquote, back then was completely different than it is now.
Because back then it favored a lot of like dancing and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I am just a firm believer in you are the algorithm, and just like you are your business. Like, everything, it's the amount. It's a big personal development game. It's how much do you believe you deserve? How many views what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for the views? Or are you doing it to help somebody? Like, what is the aura and the intention behind it? Like, there's so many factors. And at the end of the day, I believe it comes down to you. Also, I'm a firm believer that everybody has a purpose. They have their own missions. I believe that everybody gets like these ideas implanted into their heads. Somebody explained this really beautifully. There's basically like these idea seeds all around, and you can walk by and like pick up an idea seed, and now that's your idea. But if you don't want to execute that idea, the idea is meant to come in the world. Like, God's going to give that to somebody else. So the video that we did with the colorblind thing, like, you had that idea seed and immediately we were like, okay, we're going to film this. You were the one to bring that idea to the world. If it wasn't you, it would have been somebody else. But because authentically you had that idea and you just let it flow out, that's why it was so magnetic, because that was your idea to put in the world at that time. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, but also, I also just think I'm different.
You are different, whatever. But aside from that,
like, most people can't break the internet. Not all my videos break the internet either. But I also feel like if I just had a different stage, I need less scripting than most people.
Because you believe that and you show up that way and you know that you are built in order to do it that way. That's what performs best for you.
I think there's very few people on this planet that are funnier than me. I think there's very few people on this planet that have less cares than me when it's just to do something, but in the sense of like just getting it done. Like, it's very hard to make me feel embarrassed. So I think that's a huge portion of it. I don't know. I've always just been the one to like raise my hand, sit in the front. Like,
yeah, I love that. Definitely. Like, I've always had that. You've always had that like leadership aspect, but I think because you're so solid in who you are that everything that you create or say or think, like, it's not second guessed. It is. And it has that energy behind it. And that's why this man, without effort, always goes viral, always gets followed, always people are drawn to him because you're so solid in you. And that's what that is. You're pretty fly, you're pretty funny, you have lots of great qualities, and you're really, really solid in those qualities. It's literally
so if
measured.
you want to break the algorithm, make sure you know.
No, but conviction, you're very convicted in who you are and what you do. Even if we laugh about it all the time, but like he tells jokes all day, as you can probably imagine. I don't have to laugh at those jokes. He will crack
Oh,
up at himself because it
listen.
doesn't matter. He's not telling the joke to make sure that I laugh. He's telling the joke because he knows for a fact it's funny as shit. And
I'm
he
gonna
wants
laugh.
it to get
I
out
wanna
there into
la-
the world.
But I want to laugh
And he
at
wants
it.
to laugh. And
if
it's
in
funny.
my head, I want to say it out loud so I can laugh out loud.
Yes.
Because if you look like also, you look twice as weird if you just have something in your head and you just start cracking up because then everybody wants to know now. And then you say it and then everybody laughs because there's like, why is that funny? Or dang, that is funny. But me, I'm just laughing and I'm just going to say it because I don't care.
And
I don't care. I don't need an audience.
the energy behind that is why everybody laughs with you. Probably whether it's funny or not, because you have the conviction that this is funny. Now me, I'm actually pretty funny, but I'm a little more reserved when it comes to that because I would second guess like,
Do people find this funny?
is this really funny? Is this stupid? Is it just me? And like, I don't really care. I'll say it anyway for the most part, but it's definitely with some questioning behind it. It's not like you. It's a whole different magnetism. It's a different aura. It's a different conviction. And that's just true across, like, that's a pattern that's true in many different areas of life. And it's absolutely very true when it comes to social media, video marketing, like, especially somebody like me who's very intuitive. I'm a feeler. I can feel people's energy behind their videos and anything they're producing probably more than like most people. And there's a lot of people that's true too. Even if you don't notice that you feel the energy, you do. And that's why you're quick to scroll past some people and you're not so quick to scroll past other people, even though you don't technically notice it.
Yep.
It's not an algorithm. It's who you're drawn to. It's the magnetism. It's the aura. I want to put other words there to make it make sense for other people as well. But that's what I got right now. So that's my other conspiracy.
So what's your closing thought?
About conspiracy. I don't know. Just my closing.
For them, against them.
I'm very neutral. I love conspiracies. It goes with like the true crime. I love mysteries. I love figuring out things, but I think it's important to just know. I like to know the conspiracies, whether you believe them or not, because when you know that something is true or may possibly be true or like maybe different behind the scenes than you think, then you can operate differently to make it work for you. And I believe that about even like universal laws, like the law of polarity, the law of attraction, like all these big major principles that you can base your life and business off of. When you understand them, you can manipulate them into your favor. So when you understand the law of attraction, you learn how to attract everything you want in life. When you understand the law of polarity and you realize that for every good, there is a bad. So when the bad is happening, you can logically understand this is for my benefit because of XYZ, because there's obviously the polar opposite on the other side. Like you can literally take this negative thing and use it to your advantage because you can see it for what it is instead of letting it take you to the depths of despair like it does for most people. So like just understanding conspiracies will help you navigate.
Similar. I'm for them and I'm okay if businesses choose to use them.
Sure, me too.
It's a fine line between that and morals though.
Yeah, and I think that line gets crossed when things get too big, such as like multi-billion-dollar company. Like at some point, and I'm not saying they shouldn't exist. I personally, I don't know if you can grow something to the moon. Who the fuck is everybody else to tell you not to do that? That's a
Yeah.
You don't get to cap people where you think they should be capped just because you weren't able to do that in your lifetime and your lineage.
Thing ever.
Yeah, like we don't get to do that. That's not fair. I think
that was the whole thing. That like, they're just, like, you shouldn't be able to have more than $1 billion.
You should learn to grow more than $1 billion if you're worried.
I should just give you $1 billion because that's the problem. The handouts.
Yeah, and I believe
that's why
that
the conspiracies happen. The conspiracies happen so they can get the people who can't buy the ticket item at X price but can afford 5 of them at X price is why they can create these conspiracies, and that's why they do.
Yeah.
So I'm for it, but I also, in the heart of hearts, there's a moral guideline I also wish to follow that even in power, I would probably have to have my hands in to align with it. There's just certain things.
Well, we just operate very like morally where we would make sure we're not stomping on people, and like that just doesn't like align with us. And I understand how that doesn't align with everybody. Like, unfortunately, we can't all be good in the world. There would be no polarity. The law of polarity is that for a reason. 100%. There has to be great billionaires and there has to be bad billionaires. There has to be great poor people. There has to be bad poor people. Like, there has to be great businesses and there has to be conspiracies that are true. There has to be conspiracies that are false. Like, that just is what it is. But I like understanding all angles of them. And then deciding what you do agree with, what you don't agree with. But either way, being able to manipulate your own business and your own life and your own beliefs in order to be what you want them to be.
So give us a shout to comment on what you think. If you can think of a business conspiracy, because we're running out about an hour here, so we got to wrap this up. And comment what business you think had created a conspiracy or any business conspiracy that you may have.
Yeah.
And I did want to ask before the outro, how many people do you think have been sitting here for the last like 10 minutes or so wondering why I never picked up my phone, and B, if it's damaged?
Oh, by the way, he just got the new iPhone and that's what dropped in the middle of this. And he refuses to put a case on it. So if it's damaged,
I'm going to call out Apple. So here you are, Samsung people. Let's find out together how durable this is.
That's funny.
All right, let's see. Screen's good.
We're good to go.
Yeah.
So another conspiracy. They make them.
There's definitely people that are going to see this that are actually going to sit there and be, oh my God, he hasn't picked it up to check it. Like just based on the thought of there was other things to do. The band must go on.
They make it durable enough to survive a fall onto a tile ground. But as soon as the new phone comes out, that shit's going to start not working right.
That doesn't mean the internal parts might not. Too many of those falls, the internal parts might not get messed up. But as far as the exterior and right now, my phone unlocks. Everything's good.
Love that for you.
So
thank you for tuning in to another episode of Heart and Hustle.
And
I hope you enjoyed it.
If you've been here, you know. If you haven't been here,
welcome.
It's always peace up, A-Town down. Boop, 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 boop.